All right, let's talk about how to set up Altair. So here is Altair's documentation page and the getting started, right? So what you have to do, right, is install it. You can use Conda, you can use pip, whichever you prefer. I recommend pip in managing your own Python, but if Conda works for you, Conda works. That's great, especially if you're on Windows. I think it's particularly helpful. And you should be able to, once you've just installed the Python package, to go into Jupyter Notebook or Jupyter Lab, right, and you can run any examples. So you should be ready to go. All of the examples rely on Vega datasets for that reason, so you can run all the examples right out of the box. You don't need to worry about the data. If you run into trouble displaying the charts, which happens often, it will work out of the box in most things, but if you have trouble, right, there's a whole troubleshooting guide, and there's some details on all the different renderer frameworks. So as we've seen, right, Altair relies on this JavaScript stack underneath, right, so it will output either HTML or this MIME bundle. That was the depol before, so it was a little harder to navigate before. You'd run into more errors maybe. But anyway, yeah, it actually outputs all the JavaScript and the HTML that you would need to generate code, generate charts. Okay, well, let's get started. So for this class, we're going to use two different ways. The primary way of, or the way I would recommend, because it's easy to set up, would be using Google's Collaboratory. So here I've created a folder. This is 2020 InfoViz, Altair notebooks. And to create a new Collaboratory document, I'm going to go to New, More, and Collaboratory. If you don't see this button here, right, you might have to go to Connect More Apps. And then I think you'll have to search, I think you should search Collab. There's only one O. Let's see, Collaboratory, sorry, one L. And if you don't have it installed, you can click, I think, the Drive Install button. Yeah, I have it in here, right? So I can go ahead and create one. So this is going to be the easiest way to get set up, and we'll quickly see why, right? So if we go to create a new Google Collab document, and if this is for any of the weekly assignments, you need to go and make sure to share it so that I can see it. Myself or your instructor for the semester can go and see it. And yeah, right now only I can open the link. So let's go ahead and call this Altair demo. It's a Collaboratory document. And to see what's going on here, right, let's go ahead and run the tutorial. So I've got the Altair tutorial 01 open here. So the first thing, right, we want to do is go ahead and import Altair, and then load the cars data set. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's import Altair as ALT. Let's go ahead and load the cars data set. It's going to go ahead and fire up a remote instance for us, right? And here we go. Import Altair, and here's the car data. Looks like it's all working. Let's check on the Altair version that's up here right now. I think it's the latest. It should be version 4.1. Good. Okay, cool. And I think that's the latest version. If we go to the Altair Viz GitHub, let's double check that 4.1 is the latest. I'm pretty sure that it is. But just, this is also good to see how to check it. Go to their GitHub, right, and they have the releases tagged. So version 4.1, great. So we're on the latest version, and let's go ahead and test out making a chart. So I'm going to go here and grab, grab at least the scatter plot here. We've got X and Y on a 2D chart to see, and let's give it a shot. Boom, it's working. Okay, so this is awesome. You can see how easy it was to get set up here, right? No issues. All the renderers are set up right, and it's already installed for us, and we can run away. This is actually running on the cloud instance. You can see how much RAM and disk we're using of our stored bit. You can also go ahead and add files. It looks like they have some sample data already in here, right? And you can add your files here. You can add them through Google Drive. Altair also works with URLs of data as well. So lots of different ways to get your data up here to work with. Yeah, Vega datasets loads them for us. So that's doing this with Collaboratory. The other way is going to be doing this locally. So let's run through doing that. So I'm going to open up my terminal here. Let's see, I'm going to make a directory. Let's call this Altair demo. There's not going to be a whole lot to see here. I'm going to go ahead and run a notebook. Let's see, I think there will be nothing in this directory. Oop, here we go. We didn't change into it. So now we're in Altair demo, right? We can go and create a new Python 3 notebook. Let's go ahead and run that same code. We'll import Altair, and then we'll load Vega datasets, and we'll make that chart. Let's see if it works for us. Let's call this Altair demo. So import Altair as alt. Okay, cool, pretty fast. And let's go ahead and try to make that chart. We can check that I have the most recent version, but if I don't, that's on me, right? Alt underscore version. Yeah, I do. So, all right. Well, that's Altair. We are up and running on making charts. You know, the reason that this dumped in, if you look at what's returned by this alt.chart, right? It's actually the whole object. So if we print that, right? This is it's returning. Oh, that didn't help. Right? It's going to return the full HTML it needs to plot. You can actually go and tell it to, this will help print for the new lines. Right, this is actually the Vega Lite spec under the hood. A lot of it's the data. Right, and I guess while we're here getting set up, if you're working with a bigger data set, it's also nice to do, to enable the JSON transformer. I called it right. Let's search for, I think, the data transformers.enable JSON. All right, let's try this. Altair. There we go. That worked. Okay. And right. So if we do it that way, you can actually see that in the spec that Altair is dumping, right, it actually did data as a JSON. If I were to go here and shut this down, we can see that it actually saved out this data as a JSON. So that's actually our data that got saved out. Right. Cool. And that's the spec that actually got rendered. Of course, we've killed the notebook. So that's Altair. That's rendering it. And that's the basics. So we're set up to go and build some charts.